No one expects to see someone chained up on the icy snow on a gloomy winter morning. But that morning, out on that empty patch of land woven with the shadows of trees, a man who'd always been called too quiet was seeing the world with new eyes. Lukas, a man who lived deep in the forest, only speaking with the sound of his axe, a man who'd buried his past in silence, was on his way back along a path when an unusual sound caught his ear. It wasn't a scream, or a woman's whisper, or even an animal's cry. No, it was the sound of chain hitting metal, the echo of someone fighting to survive under the snow. The snow was crunching under his boots. As he got closer to a wagon, Lukas could feel old fears slowly rising inside him. Chained to the wagon was a young woman, her face cracked by the wind. Her belly was round, but her eyes were more determined than the storm itself. Mia, who'd been sold over and over in her life, but now stood taller than ever because of what she was carrying. A few steps away from the wagon, her brother Daniel stood in a dirty coat. There was a hint of cruel triumph in his eyes and a cold iron in his hand. "She's healthy," Daniel said, his voice rough but insistent. "Strong legs. She listens, doesn't talk much. 7 months pregnant. The baby will be born clean." The man wanting to buy the wagon, clearly an old farmer, looked Mia up and down, while Daniel had a sly smile on his lips. "And she won't run away, right?" the man asked. "She can't anymore," Daniel said, handing him the weight of the chain once again. Right then, Mia's belly jumped with a sudden kick. This wasn't just the gentle movement of a normal pregnancy. No, this was something else, a sign of resistance, an awakening, the first sign of a rebellion from the inside. Mia's face tensed up, her back straightened. Another kick, then another. In that moment, it was as if a child was shouting from the darkness, "I'm here, Mom. Don't go, don't give up." Even chained up, Mia pressed her lips together, and as the snow stung her eyes, she whispered, "I hear you, and I'll never let them sell you." Snow stuck to Mia's face. The wind burned her cheeks like fire. When the wagon driver pulled the chain, the pain shot right to her bones. Daniel didn't even look back, enjoying the silence of selling his sister one more time. With his cold weapon in his hand, Mia's anger found a new way out. When the wagon hit a bump, the tension in the chain suddenly loosened. In a flash, Mia rammed her shoulder into the man beside her. The chain snapped on the rail. The man cursed, but Mia had already slipped free before she fell. Her knees sank into the snow, her body shaking with the cold. When her belly hit the snow, a sharp pain shot through her side, but Mia had to get up. Behind her, the men were shouting, their boots pounding the snow. But that second heartbeat inside her was beating for her. She ran. Branches scratched her face, ice cut her cheeks, but Mia never stopped. Gasping for breath, she cradled her belly with both hands. No one had ever protected her before. Not her father, not her mother, not her brother. But now, she was ready to give everything to protect that little life inside her. As night fell, the snow grew deeper. The wind howled, like a song calling the wolves. Mia's feet began to shake, her vision blurred. She couldn't feel her fingertips. But still, she pushed forward. Her foot slipped, and she tumbled down a small slope. She landed in the snow, silent, breathless. For a moment, she couldn't move. Then, a small stir in her belly like, "I'm here," gave her strength again. "We're still here," she whispered, lips blue, voice cracking. Crawling, she tried to get out of the snow. The trees formed a circle around her, their shadows growing longer. But finally, in the distance, behind the trees, she saw a light. Small, dim, but stubborn. Maybe a cabin, maybe a fire, maybe life, maybe death, but definitely not a cage. She pressed her hand to her belly. The baby was quiet but still trusted her. "Hold on, little one. It's not over." That's exactly where Lukas' path crossed Mia's. In the depths of the forest, the fates of a man stubbornly walking into the night and a woman who had lost all hope tangled together in that little light. But what neither of them knew yet was that this story, which began in the darkness, would not just break chains but mend hearts too. The cabin door had always been Lukas's personal refuge. Now, fate was opening it to a stranger. That night, when Lukas heard shaky breaths and the almost silent struggle of a woman in the dark, he stopped chopping wood mid-swing and slipped like a shadow between the trees. When he found Mia lying motionless on the ground in the moonlight, at first he thought she was dead, But then he noticed the warmth of her breath rising from under the snow, the fear shining through her frozen eyelashes. Mia's hands were still protecting her belly, as if she cared about the little heart inside her even more than her own life. Without wasting any time, Lukas scooped Mia up in his arms. After years of loneliness, her weight felt as light as a bird. As Mia was about to lose consciousness, she opened her eyes for just a moment and a single word escaped her lips: help. Lukas didn't hesitate for a second. He carried her straight to his cabin. At the entrance, he quickly covered their tracks, brushing away the blood and messy footprints with pine branches. He understood right away that someone would be looking for Mia, and that more than just trouble was on their trail. Inside, the cabin was cool, simple, and spotless. Lukas laid Mia down next to the stove, took off her wet boots, and covered her with a blanket. As Mia's hands trembled, he tucked her fingers under the blanket, mumbling, "I don't leave anyone to die in these woods." Then he quietly built up the fire, a fire he hadn't lit for anyone but himself in years, now burning for another life. Little by little, Mia came to as the warmth of the fire spread. Her eyes landed on an old cradle, its edges worn, clearly something that had once been lovingly made. Even though Lukas never spoke of it, Mia could sense the burned memories and lost childhood that filled the air in this room. Still, Lukas didn't say a word. He just waited by the fire, silent as a shadow, until Mia's breathing became steady again. All night, a new rhythm settled in the cabin. Lukas kept a close eye on Mia with every step. He oiled the squeaky door hinge, handed Mia a bowl of hot soup. For the first time, Mia gratefully accepted the silent protection of a stranger. But by morning, a low rumble from outside warned them that trouble was close. Heavy boot prints in the snow meant men were approaching. Lukas's instincts kicked in immediately. He quickly made an escape plan. He hid Mia in a secret compartment in the cabin, covered their tracks again, and placed his axe by the door. When the knock came, he opened the door, keeping his cool. Outside were the man who'd tried to buy Mia, and a few strangers following him. Questions, threats, silence. Lukas answered only with short, sharp replies. "No one's here. You won't find what you're looking for." But his eyes were sharper than even his axe. When the men finally left, Lukas opened the panel and brought Mia back into the light. For the first time, Mia's eyes showed both fear and hope. "They'll come back," Mia said. Lukas just nodded quietly. "Yes, but we have to leave before they do." In the darkness of night, two lonely souls joined forces to find a way to survive. Now, it wasn't just about surviving anymore. They were setting out to change something. And that night, next to Lukas, for the first time in her life, Mia believed she could break much more than just her chains. Before the sun was fully up, Lukas wrapped Mia in warm blankets, grabbed a few emergency supplies from the cabin, a little dried meat, a knife, and an old map, and got ready to leave. Outside, the frost still covered everything as far as the eye could see. Footprints quickly disappeared, the silence hiding everything that moved. Lukas placed Mia in the wagon as gently as he could. The small bed he'd made for her was the only bit of comfort they had, to protect both her and the baby. As they slowly moved across the snowy ground, Mia was in pain, glancing back at the fire they'd left behind in the cabin. Right then, the baby inside her moved. Somewhere between fear and hope, it gave her a new kind of courage. Lukas, meanwhile, kept his eyes glued to the trees, watching every turn in case there were trackers out there. At one point, he saw smoke in the distance. The men chasing Mia were still on their trail, and there were more of them now. When they stopped for a short break, Lukas went down to the river to get some water. Mia, breathless in the wagon, was fighting off contractions and whispering, "Hold on." Suddenly, a sound came from the wood's footsteps, branches snapping, low voices cursing. As fear surged through her, Lukas came running back. When their eyes met, there was only one question in Mia's look: what now? Lukas took in the situation fast, turned the horse around, covered the wagon with snow, and hid Mia under blankets. Then he disappeared into the shadows with his axe. A few minutes later, the trackers showed up armed, ruthless, eyes sparkling with greedy victory. From the shadow of a tree, Lukas watched, holding back his anger. For a second, he heard snow crunch right at his feet. The men came right up to the wagon. Just as they were about to lift the cover, Lukas threw a branch to distract them in another direction. The men flinched and followed the noise. Lukas quickly got back to the wagon, got Mia and the baby moving again, before the trackers realized what had happened. As night fell, the forest swallowed them up. Mia turned to Lukas and asked quietly, "Where are we going?" "To a friend," Lukas said. "Someone who doesn't owe us lies. Someone who won't sell us out." And so their escape turned into new hope, a new fight. For the first time in the darkness, Mia felt she wasn't just fighting to survive, but to finally live free. Even though every shadow and every little noise on the road made Mia's heart pound, for the first time, she felt truly safe by Lukas's side. Hours later, they arrived at an old cabin hidden in a secret valley, built from mossy stones. The old woman who opened the door took one look at Mia and understood her whole story in her pain. The woman let Mia inside and just nodded to Lukas in approval. Everything inside was old but warm: dried herbs, healing plants hanging on the wall, and a steaming pot over the fire. Mia, exhausted, lay down on the bed, and her contractions started coming faster and stronger. The old woman quietly began to prepare hot water, clean cloths, an old knife, and herbal teas. Outside, the wind picked up and footsteps echoed again, while Lukas stood guard at the door with his axe in silent anger. When the trackers got close to the cabin, the old woman cracked the door open, her eyes showing as much wisdom as threat. "Only the sick and tired are here," she said in a deep voice. "If you're looking for anything else, ask the wind." After a short argument, the men saw Lukas's shadow and the glint of his axe, and they backed away. That night, Mia fought through the pain, somewhere between fear and hope, for her baby. Lukas and the old woman waited in silence for the danger outside to pass, and for a new life to begin inside. At midnight, the contractions peaked. Mia was breathing hard, caught between the old woman's hands and Lukas by her side, right on the edge of giving birth. With every wave of pain, she cried out like she was trying to break free from her chains. Lukas never let go of her hand, and for the first time in his life, his eyes held a helpless but hopeful spark. Outside, the wind howled and the men's voices echoed from a distance. But inside, the only reality was the struggle for life between Mia and her baby. The old woman barely spoke, guiding the birth with a calm and steady care that made Mia feel safe. For a moment, it was like everything stopped. Then the baby cried, its first breath filling the whole cabin with hope. Lukas, eyes full of tears, sank to his knees beside Mia. "You did it," he whispered. Mia, exhausted and sweating, pressed her baby to her chest. In that moment, for the first time in years, both of them wore real smiles. Life had started again there beyond all fear and chains. As the days went by, the danger slowly faded away. The men had lost their trail, and the cabin in the valley became nothing but a refuge for a new life. Every morning, Mia started the day with her baby in her arms, while Lukas worked on small repairs and built new cradles, always by their side, quietly but with determination. When the old woman sent them off, she said, "Now you're a family strong as the trees and warm as fire." For the first time, Lukas looked directly at Mia and smiled. "I never had a home, but you came. Now everything's different." On festival day, the people of the valley invited them to gather by the fire. Mia walked tall with her baby in her arms and Lukas by her side. Around them, old fears faded and new friendships grew. That night, by the fire, Mia spoke up for everyone to hear. "I used to have chains. Now I have a family. I didn't need a hero to escape the darkness. I just needed a fire, a shelter, and a stubborn kind of love." People fell silent, and Lukas took Mia's hand. There was gratitude and peace in his eyes. Now it wasn't chains that held them together, but roots. And the fire in the valley never went out. Because sometimes, a true family is born from those who decide to survive together on the darkest night.